Okay, thanks, Joe. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to coaching. We're going to talk about the fundamental principles of sustainable change. How about we put that in there? Instead of just improving and change, how about sustaining it? So that's what we're going to talk about today. Glad you could join me. I hope everyone's doing well and you're taking care of yourself. You're staying healthy. You're sharpening your saws and feeding your soul and enjoying helping your clients through some really tough times right now. And here we go again with some uncertainty with the issue we're having with Ukraine and the people there. And we're going to hear about it a lot on the news, and it's going to feel pretty overwhelming at times. And here we go again. All right. So we should be getting pretty practiced at dealing with uncertainty. So, oh my goodness. Well, if you can't find a way to laugh at things, then I guess we're all in trouble, right? So let's do this. Let's go to page. Let's see. What are we going to start off with? Let's go to, I think it's 39. No, 37. Let's go to 37. Give you a minute to get that, and then let me see if I can pull it up. Let's just open that up if it'll let me. There we go. Page 37, everyone. So if you've gone through coaching before, this is what I refer to as the hexagon lesson. So there are 6 principles here. So I'm going to add a little bit to it like we always do, but okay, where is it? Sorry, I need maybe the next page. We're running crazy down here. Really busy down in St. George right now. We've got a developer who's coming down and a builder is trying to wrap some things up. My call started this morning at 7:35. And I finally just said, I gotta go. I got coaching. I gotta get on this call. You guys, I know you can relate. We're all spinning a lot of plates and running a million miles an hour. And I don't know about you, but I'm trying to be present. You know, I'm trying not to think about something that's not at the moment. So let's talk about, well, here, let's do this. Before we jump into 37, page 37, maybe grab a place to make some notes and let's write some things down. I have some questions for you about just, maybe we'll call it getting a running start. Let me ask you a big question. What's one thing that if you could improve it, it would make a huge difference? And maybe I should start off with business. We'll say, what's the one thing in your business that if you could improve it, it would make a huge difference for you? What would that be? Okay, so give that some thought and write that down. So what's the one thing? So just one thing that would make the most difference, okay? One thing, most difference. And if you're thinking about that, so what's the one thing that would make the most positive difference in your business? I know we're not going to get a lot of, it's not like we're having a one-on-one conversation in here, but I would probably ask you what that, of course I would ask you what that is. And then what's been in the way in the past that's been hindering this. So what are the obstacles? Why do you think that would make such a big difference? I've heard things like, if I could be better at, say, lead generation or lead conversion, that would make the most difference. If I could have just more appointments with sellers, if I had more listing opportunities, then maybe my business would be, a lot better. Maybe you're a little bit more focused on like, hey, if I got my database a little more organized, if I had time for that, that would make a big difference. Cause then, Jamie could send out my newsletter automatically. I told Jamie, I said, you know what we should do? We should hold a Zoom class, but you can't tell who's on the Zoom. Okay. And the topic would be how to start building your database from ground zero. Because nobody wants to admit, like, I don't have a database. I got contacts in my phone. I see Jennifer is shaking her head. So look, don't be too hard on yourself. Just take the first steps. But maybe you're a little bit more micro focused on what this answer is, like database, you know, or maybe it's more sellers, or maybe it's a community you wish you had an area, a market area that you wish you had more influence on. So the question is, what's the one thing that makes the most difference? And then you've written down an answer, right? You got an answer? Everybody? Okay, good. Okay, so you got an answer. So then we go about these principles. So I wrote this on page 40 down in the notes. I wrote one thing, most difference. Before we jump into the categories of how we make change sustainable and the 6 principles of improvement or change, think about categories. If I asked you, what's the one thing that would make the most difference in your health? What would make the most difference in your, your soul, your spiritual well-being? What would make the most difference in your finances? What would make the most difference in your family? What would make the most difference with your friends? I mean, you can categorize these questions and you're going to get obviously way different answers. What about the intellect? I mean, what I always ask you guys, what are you studying? I mean, it's critical. You guys know Jake Breen, right? You know Jake Breen, really driven individual. When Barb yesterday in sales meeting mentioned that she was going to hold a class on health, that she's got a degree in nutrition, and I've been asking her to do this for quite some time. And I thought it would be a really good idea to have her debunk some myths and, kind of just teach us about nutrition and health. And Jake weighed in and said, hey, I kind of built a class on this, and I looked through the principles really quickly from his PowerPoint, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, this is all the things we've been saying. We're just focusing on a little different, segment of our lives. And, because we love all of you and I love all of you, I think it's important for us to be honest about all the different areas of our lives that matter. And that, it's not just business, so keep that in mind. All right. So in other words, ask yourself some questions about what's the one thing in other areas. And I hope that what happens is you're inspired by the inspiration that you get and not overwhelmed by, the thoughts that come to you. Like, don't allow, oh my gosh, I can never do all of this, into your mind. Instead, think, wow, I have power over this. I can control this. I can actually do this. If I just do it a little bit a day, I can work on these all areas of my life. So here are the principles. Let me share screen. And so throughout the coaching manual, there's all these tips, and originally they were organized in a section of 50. But now they're kind of scattered into categories, which I think is better. And what happened here is I just noticed a pattern when I went to kind of improve something. And so I wrote it down and then realized it was in the form of a hexagon, which kind of cool that a hexagon is nature's strongest structure in nature. You see it in honeycomb with bees, and it can hold the weight, evenly distribute weight. And I thought, wow, it really kind of took me on I was fascinated by the idea of a hexagon and how Mother Nature has invented something to hold structure and hold weight. And I thought how amazing that was for all of us. So I'm kind of just taking look, there's a lot of questions that, we hear about business or life or what have you. Skills obviously take time to build. There's no shortcuts. Patience is certainly a key to all of this. And it's hard to have patience and persistence at the same time. They seem to kind of be bedfellows, if in success. So you have to learn to deal with patience while you're being persistent. And that's tough. And there's many answers to a lot of these different questions, but to simplify it, there are these 6 principles. So we'll start off with the first one. And it's an affirmation. So, we want positive affirmation, of course, don't we? We don't want negative affirmation. So catch yourself when you say something like, well, I'm just not techie. Okay. That'd be a negative affirmation. Instead, just say, well, I'm not techie yet. And I've talked about that word before in coaching. I think yet is a very powerful word to put at the end of a sentence. It is because it becomes an affirmation. My database is not great yet. Okay. My database needs improvement. I can improve it. Instead of saying, I don't know how to improve it, I just don't know how to improve it yet. I'm just not doing very well with getting listing presentations. Well, you're not doing well yet. So let's just kind of crack the code and get busy. So this is all managing our mindset so that we have the right attitude when we move forward. Agreed? That we're taking a positive view and approach on the thing that needs improvement. And we're going to say, look, I can figure out a way. Okay, so that's the affirmation. And so the next one is this key question. And it's because I took this from a pattern, sometimes there's a question here that's really at the heart of the matter. So maybe you want to write that down. Like it's the heart of the matter. Some people say there's an elephant in the room. Have you ever heard that? Like there's something that's really big and maybe we're not addressing it. That's what this key question is all about. Is there an elephant in the room? Is there something that's pretty big that's in the way? If so, how do we address that? And then the rest of this is kind of, there's components here. The one is, who can help me? And I just believe that the answers to our questions lie often in someone else. That's why our maker makes this so different, so that we can help each other, so that we can play together. I love watching my grandkids play together. It's very, entertaining, and there's a lot of joy in that. Of course, there's moments where they just hit each other. So, the concept of possession to a 2-year-old is really sensitive, it turns out. So if you take something away from a 2-year-old, they don't do well, but it's, I think it's by design. Okay. The next one is to get into motion and schedule our first task. This is so we don't stay permanently in this evaluation phase, that we start learning about, the process. Like, if you're going to do something, get out there and do it. Every time in my life I was asked to do something I've never done, I kind of went back and said, I got to get my firsts out of the way. I got to do the first this, the first this, the first this. Once I do that, I think I'll feel better. And so it's getting into motion. The next one is, what do I need to learn? Which is very key, kind of akin to 3, although 3 is on a person who can help you. And the other one is about your study and what research needs to be done. And then the last principle is to measure progress towards the thing we're trying to improve. And so we do put numbers to things that matter. I think that's important to understand, that we measure what matters. If it's important that you're tracking it, that's why we put a number to it. We don't reduce people to numbers. That's not the purpose of the number. The purpose of the number is to measure it so we can improve it. And you can't improve something you don't measure. So isn't that beautiful to see these 6 kind of components? And it all makes up, this hexagon. So affirmation, key question, who can help me? What do I need to learn? This is my own study. How do I get into motion, and how do I measure? And we just keep this going. And what happens here is that I kind of put this, trying to have some levity here. If the flux capacitor, and everyone know what a flux capacitor is. Okay, maybe I'm going to stop sharing. Okay, who does not know in the chat what a flux capacitor is? Everyone knows what a flux capacitor is? Yes, okay, I see Rachel does. Chuck, you know what a flux capacitor is? Good. Okay, Don does. Sherry does. Everyone does. It's impressive. Oh, Paige does it. Okay. Someone's being honest. Like, okay, Paige. Yeah, Rachel can't believe it. You need to watch Back to the Future or you're just not going to get it. Okay. Look, the flux capacitor is what makes time travel possible. Okay. And it came to a genius scientist when he hit his head and he woke up and he drew out the flux capacitor. And it was like, pivotal in human, existence. Like, wow, we can make time travel possible. So if the flux capacitor makes time travel possible, then the hexagon makes change more probable. Okay, so I think this is calling out that there's a difference in a wish I could and I'm going to. Like I wish I had more leads that were quality, or I wish I could meet more people. I wish I could have more listing presentations. That's just wish. And well, I want more. I think you wrote down, well, I need more opportunities. Well, it's still going to be a wish until we employ these 6 principles. Once we do, then it makes the change more probable. Okay. So flux capacitor makes time travel possible. The hexagon principles make change more probable. Okay. Kind of fun? Yeah. Okay. I hope this is inspiring to you and gives you something, a framework that you can work from. Yes. The DeLorean is back in the market. Yeah, I saw that. Crazy, all of us, 80s kids, if we were teenagers or young in the 80s, then we watched this movie multiple times. So, great movie, by the way. All right, so let's move on to, so look, on page 40, you've got these blanks, and you can certainly take answers to these questions and put them in each one of these segments. And that could also guide how you spend your morning. The reason I brought Jake Breen up this morning as an example is because, this guy's up early. He exercises, he studies. Those power hours in the morning are really, really critical. And if you just try it, like if you go, well, I don't know, I'm too tired, well, then try to make a goal to go to bed a little earlier. Watch what you eat late in the afternoon. I mean, you can get running starts at this, and then just try it for 3 or 4 days and see what it does, see how it changes you. Or find a time later in the day. It doesn't have to be in the morning, but personally, it only works for me in the morning because the day gets away from me, So I tried exercising, like putting exercise off and study off, and exercise never really worked for me that way. It's in the morning or it doesn't happen. I did find a lot of time to study at night. I do like kind of, that last hour before I go to bed, kind of studying a little bit. A lot better than watching the news, right? If you're going to bed to the news and waking up to the news, please try something different. That's a really bad way to live. It's just, look, and I'm fine knowing what's going on. It's just, the media really loves negative spin on everything. They love shock. So they're going to keep giving us that. And it can be really hard on your soul over time. So be careful, be careful. Okay. So, you know what I wanted to here, let me, let's bring up something do we have some managers on the call today? Let's see. Yeah, Craig is on, listening in. I still, Jill's listening in. So you guys feel free to weigh in. Let me give you something kind of pertinent today that I mentioned I would probably talk about this a little bit in coaching from yesterday. So I'm holding in my hand the rule changes for Utah real estate. And so I suppose I could make us what here. Okay, I asked the question. What's going to happen when the public is aware of what the compensation is to a buyer's agent? Nothing? Or will they ask about it? Do they want that explained to them? Will they want to negotiate it? Will some people think they get that fee if they don't have an agent? All of the above? Okay, so if any of those are true, what's the solution? If any of those things are true, other than nothing happens. So if we have buyers assuming, well, wait a minute, if I don't have an agent, I get that 3%. Or if they see it at 1%, does that mean they can't have an agent? Are they going to ask you about it? Are they going to bring it up? Are they going to say things like, hey, can you explain this to me? What is the solution? So Stella's already weighed in. Julie's weighed in. Kathy's weighed in. Yeah, it could become a negotiation point because now the term is put out publicly. Really good, Julie. So I've been talking about this forever. And well, okay. How many are on this? 43. There's 43 of us. Can we do better at pausing the lead conversion and having a buyer consultation meeting with buyers? Can we do a better job of that? If so, let's make that an affirmation. Let's ask the key questions, who can help me? Let's get into motion. Let's make sure that change sticks. I think we're going to have to approach it with the attitude that we have to have the buyers hire us and just think about, get your mindset that they're paying you. They're paying you in the sales price, right? Haven't they always paid us through the sales price, right? They paid an amount, the seller took from the sales price and paid us. So the reason why we now have this rule, it can't be free, is because it never was true anyway. And I grew up in that time. How many of you told buyers, hey, my services are free to you? I did. Well, I did in the 90s. I'm glad you didn't grow up in the 90s as a realtor. Because all through the 90s, that's what we told everybody. Well, my services to you are free. And I mean, there are advertisements about this, right? So that's bye-bye. We're no longer telling people that. But look, that was put in the coaching manual like 5 years ago. So it's, I don't think that hurts us. Putting the public, the compensation out there, I think may generate more questions about it and more people. Look, there's already buyers who assume that if they don't have an agent, they get paid 3%. Ever had that happen? Anyone? Or hear about it in our office? Well, trust me, it happens. I guess it happens enough that you remember it, but it's not normal. It's not, not every buyer does this. It's like maybe one out of 100. But, we do 6,000 transactions at Brookshire. So it comes up, it comes up. We probably deal with this a dozen times a year, or a dozen transactions. Some buyer, now the hot market and competition kind of squashes all of that, because if you want to get serious, you're not going to play these games. But all of this continues to point to having buyer presentations where we break down all the things that we do and how we do them, and showing problem. I hope this is starting to, it's a lot of repetition, but problem, solution, value, in that order. If they don't know if there's a problem, why would we be searching for a solution? So you have to take the time to break down the complexities of everything we're tackling. Okay. So that started on, look, I think Park City, and so the two Flex MLSs, I'm hearing that that's going to be announced this month, and then will go into effect in 30 days from now. That's what I'm hearing. Okay, so the other two MLSs are just a month away from having the same thing. And then we'll kind of keep our eye on how the public kind of responds to this. I think the majority of people were just going to keep searching for homes, and it's going to look like a disclaimer, and they move on. If you were on the Park City sales meeting, there was a question that was posed that said, because now we're going to have this communication at the bottom that says the offer of compensation is made to participants of UtahRealEstate.com. Okay, well, that's just part of it. The offer of compensation is also the realtor who has an active license, who's procuring cause of the sale, and is a member of the UtahRealEstate.com. So there's three key components to getting paid a commission. So someone said, what about an attorney? Well, if the attorney, again, has an active real estate license, is procuring cause of the sale, and is a member of the association or the MLS, they can earn a compensation. Okay. What if an agent doesn't have, what if the buyer doesn't have an agent? Well, again, if the buyer is an active agent with a license, is procuring cause of the sale, and a member of the MLS, then we can pay them, right? So I hope that's helpful, that you just remember that that's what it takes to earn a commission in the state of Utah and under these offers of compensation through MLSs, okay? Britt, thanks for the comment. Seems like everyone who would walk away because of this conversation up front, client doesn't respect your profession. Yeah. There's always going to be an outlier like that. It's not the norm. Countless surveys, you know, there's a lot of respect for professional realtors. Personally, I think we need a law change. I think we need to, I think we need to pay 3% to agents. And I don't think that every agent though is worth that. Right. And it's a sad confession to make, because half the agents in our MLS have 0 transactions. 0. So they're not practicing. You know, I mean, none of us would go to a surgeon who doesn't do the surgery on a regular basis. Nobody would do that for obvious reasons. Well, housing is every bit is concerning to folks. You know, it's the top thing that causes stress. I think there's more stress in buying a house than there is with a surgery. So if you ask people, they'll tell you it matters to them. So I think it's who we pay, not what we pay. And I think we need to start making our minimum standards in real estate a lot higher than what they are. But you know, that's another battle for another day. But I'm feeling very, very emboldened. You know, the older I get, like I just say it. I don't, you know, and the fact that we finally got title underneath real estate brokers, so we can be a better one-stop shop and lower costs and be more efficient. I mean, all the other states that had this before Utah were saving money on closing costs. It was proven on settlement statements that it was lower, and there's more proficiencies with all of this. But it was nice to get that law undone and have that true one-stop shop. Any comments or questions about this? Let's open up the mics to you guys if there's any questions about the changes to BAC or anything that you want to talk about before I turn the channel and we talk about another topic.
I have a question.
Yeah. Hi, Gracia.
Hi. I'm working with an out-of-state realtor who's looking for a property in Park City.
Okay.
How do I approach, you know, working with her from a standpoint of she expects to get paid, I'm sure. So what's the conversation I need to have with her? I'm meeting her tomorrow.
Okay. Well, you would represent her normally like any other buyer broker agreement. You do your job. Unless she's licensed in Utah, a member of the MLS, all of that, then she's not going to be able to get paid. However, we do customarily pay referral fees from the BAC side to agents that send us a referral. We essentially would be paying her a referral fee for her own transaction.
Okay,
I think that's an easy thing. If she's good with that, that's fine. I would, confess that there are sometimes negotiations on how much that referral fee is.
okay,
But I would feel very good at a 25% rate of 3% being sent to her as a referral fee.
okay. But
And that,
otherwise, it would all be the buyer protocol.
yep, same process. Yep.
Okay, okay. Okay, that's what I needed to know. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? Questions or comments about BAC, buyers, rules, changes, how to change?
Hey, Will, it's
Yeah.
Nicole out of the Park City office. Hey,
Hi.
I would love to have a class on that kind of conversation that we need to have with buyers, because I have a lot of buyers and I'm starting to get like I'm struggling with that conversion of getting them to sign the document and kind of explaining to them like, hey, if you're looking at properties that are less than 3%, like you're going to have to pay that extra percent, and just kind of the conversation and the language that needs to happen. Because I've had a few people say, absolutely, I'm not signing that. You're going to take a discount. And it's kind of at the point where I'm like, okay, well, then maybe I'm not the right real estate agent for you. So I don't know if anybody else is having pushback like that, but I've had a few people where I was really struggling with that. So.
Okay, got it. Look, you're echoing many of our agents. Okay, so thank you for kind of bringing that up. Working with buyers is challenging, but so is working with sellers, and that's why we get paid what we get paid, because there are complexities. Let me tell you what you really have to pause for a second. I want you to clear your mind, and I want you to think about, are you presenting the complexities? Are you slowing down and talking it through? Like in my mind, I go, look, I already know where we're going to end up. Okay. But if I go from here to there and we shortcut it, then I remove all the complexities and I make it look so simple that they don't understand why there is a problem and why there needs to be a solution, and then therefore any value. And when we do this right and we get it right in order, people are asking you, so are you my agent? So how do I know you're my agent? Like they want to lock you down, right? They want to put a ring on it. Okay. They want to put a ring on it because they don't want you to go away. They don't want someone else to get your attention because you're the person, you're the professional for them. The trouble with all of this is it takes time. Okay. So you have to say something like, look, I need an hour of your time so that I can get to know what your needs, wants, and whys are and how we can go about doing it, so I can help you accomplish what you're trying to accomplish. And then I would like to explain to you kind of really how all of this works, and use examples, use visuals, so look, we teach from the contracts, the agreements, the forms. We don't just answer, well, let's talk about earnest money. My gosh. So look, we could spend an hour on earnest money, but you've got to be able to show the complexities and why it matters to them, and you have to show them. So bring out the contract, look at the sections, talk them through why it matters. Litigation in real estate looks like what? How do we protect you? Go grab the buyer due diligence checklist, walk through all of that, get the disclosure that goes along, or the addendum that goes to the checklist, talk about strategies in winning bids and how do we compete. Look at all the legal language, the forms that we have, cash above appraisal, no financing condition, truncated deadlines. Okay. Look at all of that, show them. I mean, my goodness, just right there, that could be an hour discussion. And we haven't even talked about how to go find it, what tool to use, all the things that are in the way, the problems that can come up to resolve due diligence and inspections, and how we go about that, renegotiating again. to get over, obstacles that are found and defects in the properties, you have to slow down. You have to have the meeting. You're going to unfortunately have to show them. Look, I brought this up before, but when Tammy had her gallbladder out, okay, very simple surgery, right? No, it's gallbladder. Thousands of these are done all the time, right? Not a big deal. It's just a real estate transaction. People buy homes all the time. But it wasn't until the surgeon brought out 5 full color, sharp pictures of basically my wife's abdomen, okay, the liver, and how delicate this was, that I got it, right? I can trust me. I wasn't thinking about how much he was going to charge me for the surgery, right? But if we don't slow down and show the pictures, if we don't slow down and show the complexities, then I guess we just can't expect people to get our value. So when you have objections to value, it's usually because we haven't shown the problem and therefore the solution, and we're skipping the complexities. All we have to be here, guys, is honest. That's all we have to do. You don't have to exaggerate a thing. You just tell them like it is. And show, why do people get hurt in real estate transactions? So how do we avoid that? So see, there you go. How do people get hurt is the problem. Earnest money might be the first thing they want to ask, like down payments, earnest money. What's my risk going in? Am I going to overpay? Oh my goodness, am I going to overpay? Great question. Let's talk about how that could happen. Let's talk about how properties are selling right now. Look, let me go pull some comparables, maybe why we're doing this, because here's one that was listed for this and sold for this. So what's the trend? Where are we going? Nobody wants to overpay, but they want to get the right house. There's all these obstacles in the way. So does that help, Nicole?
Yeah, that's awesome. And I have been using the forms and doing what you're suggesting. I just have a lot of out-of-state buyers. And the problem is it's like trying to get them to get on a Zoom call and, show that. It's like they're rushed, they're on the phone, or they walk into the gallery and then they want to go see properties. And I kind of feel uncomfortable showing them properties without like explaining all of this to them, because I feel like it's a waste of my time.
Yeah, you know what? Look, you got to date before you get married, though. Mm-hmm. Okay. So it's okay to have a dose of dating as we get to know each other and have them feel comfortable, and that you want what they want, and they feel, remember, we're building trust in every relationship. So be trustworthy, be responsible, solve their problem, ask questions, discover, and then provide solutions when they come up with a problem or an obstacle. Be on their errand. And that just can't go on forever. We all know that. There comes a point where the value of hiring you is going to be really loud, because there's only so far you can go. You don't work for them. You don't represent them when we're in the dating phase. Okay. So, but it's very, very, very okay and proper, and I think right, and even the better way to date before you get committed and have a get to know you phase. So that's okay. And it's all right. And you know what? What's the worst that's going to happen? Well, the worst that's going to happen, well, here's what the worst is. The worst is that your expectation is that they're going to work with you and select you. That's the worst thing that's going to happen, because that's not fair to put on them at the beginning. So stepping down from that, the worst thing that's going to happen is that you're not going to expect, you're just going to go to work for them and earn their trust to where you can pause the chaos and have the presentation, and they work with someone else. You know how many times that's come back, though, to a good agent, where they said, but I really did like her. I really liked him. It just worked out that we used someone else, but they don't forget you and they refer you. It's come back many, many times. Okay. So keep that in mind. Appreciate the comments too. Jeff says, used to be able to do it as you were driving around together, right? But then COVID, that changed. Yeah, I do. Anytime you can get together, Jeff makes a good point. We do, the environments change where it is harder to get together. Still needed though. Okay. Still needed. Sometimes Rachel says, sometimes you just have to earn earn the business. Yeah. And I never push, the buyer broker agreement. Yeah. And I think that if you're not careful, your push of this representation agreement will seem very self-centered. So you got to present it in a way where it's a benefit for them, a benefit of hiring you. And there'll be a time when that's appropriate. Certainly once you get a comfortable level with each other. So what I don't like is lead, show a house, follow up, 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 show a house, right? And that's all we're doing. And we never pause until they say, gosh, I do want to make an offer on that one. And then you're bringing up the buyer broker agreement. Because the problem with that is, what are you going to do when it's a 2% BAC? What are you going to do when it's a 1% BAC, the one that they pick? Now you're going to talk about that? So, let's just keep that timing in mind. And look, we got to be flexible, but ideally that's what we want. Ideally, that's what we want. And we should never be pushing anything on anybody, right? I mean, think about that. What are we pushing? We're not salespeople. Like, I finally just don't want to be this. I get that we have a sales process. I understand lead conversion, but I don't want to be that. A salesperson is pushing the BAC, the buyer broker agreement, on someone. The salesperson is trying to close on a listing. Okay. You'll hear this. What's your closing technique? Right? What's your closing technique? What are you talking about? Why do you think I need to trick someone into signing something? Right? I know that's extreme. Why don't we just be authentic about what they want and help them do that and focus on them and not us closing them? Right? There's a benefit to having representation, and that should be the focus of the discussion. So sorry, I get so passionate about that. I hope that's not, I don't need to I'm not talking down anyone or trying to be preachy. I just, there's so many things that I just don't want us to be at Brookshire. I want us to be approachable, authentic, honest, have character, right? And integrity. I want us to build relationships that last. I want us to have a marathon mentality, right? I don't want to be a chemical fire, right? I want to be one that lasts forever. Okay. I want to remember why people do this. Buy dirt, right? Find things you care about, put a fence around it, buy dirt. Watch your kids grow up. From the song we played, remember that's the why. And it's not about us making a sale. It's about them finding home. That's what I want us to be. Salespeople are not interested in that. Sorry. And I can get it. I probably, maybe that's not the best political stance to make. Like, people go, well, we need a really good sales force. Okay, I understand, but you really don't want salespeople mentalities who are focused on close. Otherwise, that's all you're going to get. And I just think we're better than that. I think we're better than that. Let's see. Britt says, love that. Show your value immediately. Right. Best you can and be flexible. Yeah, we're in a people business, and people don't trust someone who doesn't have the same agenda, it's not, well, Eric Jensen first reminded me of this saying, it's commission breath. You can tell when someone has commission breath. Maybe it's the tone, it's the words they use. I don't know what we have instincts about this, and you can tell that someone's just trying to make a sale. Look, I've got a, well, maybe I will say, but I've got a brother-in-law right now that's trying to buy a building that's $5 million. Anybody want to do the commission on $5 million? It's a lot of money. He's my brother-in-law. It's family. I've been more nervous about this transaction than any transaction I can think of. And I've told him 3 times now, maybe we shouldn't buy the building, right? Maybe we should do something else. Because this is a problem. It turns out we had every window on 3 sides of this building that's 5 years old were cracked. The vinyl in the center was cracked. It's only 5 years old. we've got to bid back $120,000 to repair or replace every window. So, but you know what? Just stop forgetting about your gain and start doing their job. That's where value happens, right? That's where trust is built. And of course, he's my brother-in-law, and I love this guy, and he's family, and we're gonna be together for years and years and years and years, right? So what if we had that mentality with everybody? So I think it shows a lot of integrity when you go the other way. And then that becomes a magnet. Boy, you hang on to people like that in your life that you can trust, and you refer people like that. And that's the marathon game, So have you ever gone, okay, when's the last time you went to go shop for a car? Here's another contrast. You go shop for a car, okay? You run into a salesperson, right? A salesperson. We all have experienced this. You're on the lot and they come walking up. What's your first thought when they come walking up? What are you thinking? See, this is what I'm saying. Do you want that? You're like, oh, brother, here we go, right? Why are you feeling that way? Because you don't want to be sold anything, right? I don't want hey, how can we make a deal happen today? Have you ever had a salesperson say that to you when you want to buy a car? So what can we do to make a deal today? Because see, what do they want to do? They want a deal today. What do you want? You want the right car. So if we go about pushing buyer broker agreements on it and skipping the dating process and building trust, then we sound like a car salesman, and nobody wants that, right? Nobody wants that. So how do you get rid of commission breath? Well, you brush your teeth with trust. Hey, there's a little advertisement thing, right? There's the two, instead of saying crust, it says trust. How to get rid of commission breath. Yay! I'm gonna remember that one. You guys all writing that one down? How to get rid of commission breath. Brush your teeth with trust. And so this is what I get for being what was it called, a latchkey kid or a turnkey kid. I came home and my parents were gone, and so I watched cartoons. So just entertain myself, I just forgot my train of thought. No, okay. I'll piggyback on this whole thing. If you're trying to find the right car, have you ever had a car salesman who's on the Toyota lot or whatever, the GMC lot, the Ford lot, okay, the Lexus lot, whatever it is, the BMW lot, say, well, you probably should try out the Honda, the Toyota, the Acura, right? Have you ever? No. Because they're only interested in selling you the car that they get paid on. That's why we don't trust them. They're kind of a necessary evil. I mean, if you want the car, I guess you're gonna have to deal with them, right? We're not that at Brookshire, okay? We're not that at Brookshire. Okay. All right, well, instead of pivoting, because we have 8 minutes left, to a new topic, we'll save that for next week. What's the takeaways today? Anybody want to or add on, or we've got about 5 more minutes, and then we'll call it a day. I'm definitely going to remember how we get rid of commission breath. But was this valuable? If it was valuable today to join coaching, why? Answer that for me. If it was worth your time, why was it worth your time? Nobody? Always show value. And you do that, Paige, by talking about the problems, okay? And you have to show them the problems. So that's how you show value, is because as soon as you show the problem, you're going to talk about the solution. And then value happens. Okay, very good. Rachel, I'm thrilled that the MLS is going to add the quote about BHC. It makes clear. Yeah, that's a good point, Rachel. I hope that that's the effect, is that people read that like, well, like that's not for me, that's for my agent, or an agent I can employ. Remember, this is all part of a Department of Justice attempted settlement. They did end up backing out, was the story, but I think NAR and the MLSs are just trying to, date before you get married. Reminder of a great system to reach goals. Thanks, Kim. Affirmation's a good place to start, right? And then the rest of those principles. So I'm glad you picked up on that. Britt, Paige sums it up. Good. Date, but not for too long, right? Yeah. Boy, I tell you, I raised 4 daughters, and oh my gosh, it was so uncomfortable when they started, like when they were in love but not married. Oh my gosh, I could not sleep at night. It was so hard on Dad. Like, where are you going? And I'm like, okay, so tell me something seriously. Do you really, are you in love with Robbie? Oh yeah, Dad, I am so in love with Robbie. I'm like, oh geez, okay. Hey, you guys be careful. And then, Dad, don't worry about it. Really? Really? Okay, it's my job to worry. I had this thing I did where I asked every boy 25 questions, and the girls got kind of like proud of the fact that I did this, because it was this gauntlet that these boys had to, traverse. And they would say, well, so Dad, when are you going to ask Robbie the 25 questions? And I'm telling you, they were the right questions. Okay. They were the right questions. I was holding nothing back.
You are nice. My dad just took a bullet and carved their initials on the casing.
Really?
Yeah. And then he put it up on the mantle for them to see.
Nice. Yeah. That works too.
You could never get away with that nowadays.
So somebody would turn you in, right? Oh. Okay, so I'm going to change it. How to get rid of commission breath? Brush with trust. You like that? It shortens it a little bit. Brush with trust. I'm going to have marketing do this. Yeah, right. I got a shotgun and a shovel. I'm pretty sure nobody would miss you. God, what movie was that? Huh. I have heard that, Britt. Anyone know? I got a shotgun and a shovel. I'm sure nobody would miss you. I have a great savings account. Well, I like the ones, look, I don't have a problem going back to prison. Oh, it's fun. Yeah, Clueless. See, daughters, I know the movie Clueless. Yeah, the lawyer dad. That's right. Cher, where are you going? You need to cover up. Oh my gosh, how many times I had that. Well, since we're talking about trust, these boys, I have 3 great son-in-laws. They're like little versions of me. So they're like my best friends. We love to hang out together. And we just have great relationships. All of them at one point said, you can trust me. And I said, trust is earned over time. And it's a good goal to have, but let's, and remember that. So I think that's a good kind of overarching reminder, all of us, that relationships in business and in life and everything that matters is built on trust. So go earn it, do the things that make you trustworthy. And look, if they pick someone else, it's not the end of the world. Okay. It's not the end of the world. It's just do your thing, do what you can control. Right. And pause the chaos long enough. Thank you so much for joining me for coaching today. I just pray for your success, your happiness, your joy in all areas of your life. And I hope that today was inspiring, that you can think about ways to change things and improve things that need changing. And I hope that you share it with maybe a teenager, you know, or someone else that could use a little boost. So anyway, I'm proud of all of you, and thank you for allowing me to work with you. It's an honor to be your broker and work with you every day and see you in the trenches and, lift some of those heavy loads together. Grateful for all of our team. We have an amazing team at Brookshire, a great group of brokers and support staff and everything else. So I hope that's not lost on you. We got a good thing going. So let's go out there and find someone to help. Okay. Let's go find someone to help and build some trust. I'm going to go pick me up some of this toothpaste.